like
Thank you for coming to our lunch seminar. DEI will be starting to host the magic lunches, so watch out for both announcements. And we're also hosting a movie afternoon. Rose and Blasted for more information. Josh is presenting and so is Zach.
Well, hi everyone, I'm Josh and this is my path to Michigan. I grew up in Alpena, Michigan. It's about 3.5 hours north of here. It's a small town with a population of about 10,000. Not much goes on up there. It's a nice change coming down here to Michigan, actually being in a city. Like I said, not much. My house that you can see over on the left, it's a lot of trees. Town is like, there's like here, a few miles out, but about it. That's my family. I'm the youngest of 3. My 2 older brothers over on the left and parents in the middle. We're on Lake Huron. I'll get to that in a bit. I had a fairly common school life. Here's my high school. Kind of old place. My parents went there as well. It's not much money for the school up there. I played soccer my whole life. I played hockey till about 9th grade. I really built for hockey. And then I ran track for 10th and 11th grade, but I didn't really run that much, so didn't do it senior year. I grew up on and around the water. Like I said, like here on in the background, that was at my grandparents' house. I used to go on, used to have beach days all the time when I was a kid. We go kayaking all the time, down rivers, stuff like that in the area. My family's always had a boat, so we go fishing. We just go out on the water, just try and enjoy the time on the water. And I enjoy fishing, and I've gone in the summer, but I'm not like a big fisherman, so it's not like the biggest thing, but I do like going when I can. One cool thing about Alpena is it's kind of known for ships. Here are a few of them, but shipwrecks on the water. And so here's a handful of the many ships that you can find in the water in Thunder Bay, which is the area of Alpena. Here's a map of it. That's like the majority of the area, and like this is Thunder Bay, like right here. But then like the Thunder Bay National Marine Sanctuary like extends up further north, almost to Mackinac actually, and a little further south. And in that area, there's almost 100 shipwrecks. There might be 100. Some that they've found. But if you go to the sanctuary's website, you can see a list of them. There's a bunch of photos of them and documentation about them. There's a lot of history with it. Some of them go back into the mid to late 1800s that you can still go and like find information about. And so that's just a really cool thing that's like in the area that kind of helps build my liking for boats. Also, because of the shipwrecks, I always wanted to get dive certified, and in 2019 I was. I haven't really gone too many times since then, though, with COVID and everything, and also the cost of all this stuff. It's a little bit difficult too. So for the most part, with the shipwrecks, there's a lot in shallow water. So, there's multiple parks nearby that you can go to and just walk along the beach a little bit, and then you can go and swim out a little ways, and you can just dive on a shipwreck that's in 10 feet of water. It's nice to be able to do that. It's a cool activity to do in the summer. Another big thing though is with this NOAA Center, your sanctuary. My 5th grade teacher did a lot with them, and we started building ROVs there. It was mainly in 5th grade to keep up with the water and do like water testing. We raised sturgeon eggs in class that we wanted to eventually deploy put out in the water on some reefs. We would also monitor those for the sanctuary. And so that was mainly 5th grade, but then I continued on from 6th through 12th grade, doing more competitions with them. And you can see from the left, they were kind of simplistic in the start. We just used PVC and stuff like that. And then as it goes along, we eventually CNC'd out a ROV in the bottom right, and had a a enclosure in it with like more advanced electronics versus like pumps or thrusters. And then eventually my senior year, it's not really a big photo of it, but we implemented our entire frame with kind of starting to deal with some stuff with like hydrodynamics of it. But obviously not at the level that we do here. And so that was kind of like the point that we got to with that. I went to 7 international competitions with ROVs. It starts out with regional at like the sanctuary that we have. You compete there and then you move on to international competition. With that, I've got to meet a lot of people, like the guy up on the top right that I'm next to. His name is Marty Klein. He invented side scan sonar at the bottom of the ocean and stuff like that. And I don't have a photo of me with him, and like also been on a few like Zoom calls with Robert Ballard. He's the guy who found the Titanic. I think that's pretty cool to be able to do. And this also just was like stepping stones for me really enjoying engineering and specifically like doing water and engineering. Found out a name that kind of like that I should do this if I enjoy this so much. And then also cool thing I got from this was I saw some cool testing facilities, stuff like NASA's NBL I got to go to and test in. And if you look closely, you can actually see the replica of the ISS that the astronauts train on. Yeah. Memorial University up in St. John's, Newfoundland. We competed there and they have 3 cool tanks that I got to see. There's like their wave tank up in the top left. I believe this is like a tow tank as well, but it's like an ice tank that I think it's made of like antifreeze and water, and they do like a thin layer of ice on top. That's with that. I also had a flume tank down in the bottom left, which that one is really cool because you could like when you're you can go up top and like you can eat it from there, but then everyone can go inside and view through these windows, see what you're doing. So that was a really cool aspect of that thing. And then more recently, one thing that I've done is that my girlfriend's dad is the underwater state archaeologist, and he also really likes Tuskegee Airmen. And they found a airplane wing, tail, some other parts off of a little north of Port Huron, on Lake Huron, in like Lexington area, if you know where that is. And so he did a big project, technically this summer, but I was there the summer before. For a couple of days, and I got to dive on this airplane wing that you can see in the top right. I also was able to pilot an ROV on that and show the family of the pilot who unfortunately did not make it in the crash, and show them like where it was his nephew, like where the crash, and show them his like airplane, everything from. There's also they found the tailpiece of the airplane. And then in the bottom left is the gun or the cannon from the plane, and they actually recovered that. I think they have hopes to recover the wing, but like the logistics of it was kind of difficult, so they haven't gotten to that point yet. And then the plane that was I believe it was P-51 Mustang, and that's what it would look like in the bottom right. But after I don't know how many years in the bottom of the lake, it looked the exact same. And then finally, once I finally get back to Michigan, I knew about it my entire life, being from Michigan. So I was like, that'd be cool to go there. And once I knew I wanted to do engineering, it was like kind of the obvious choice here in Michigan. There's either that or like Michigan Tech. And I didn't even know NAME was a program offered until I got here. And then engineering 110, one of my TAs actually was part of NAME. And she talked a lot about it, and then I saw the presentation on it, and it just seemed like the obvious choice for me with the other similar things I've done, RVs and stuff. And I declared, and I've enjoyed it since. And that's all I've got. You guys have any questions?
Of the ROVs on your slide, was there any like design choice on them that you're really happy with how it came out?
They're all like, you have to change them every year for the different requirements. I don't know. I didn't really I helped design them, for the most part, until like the 3D printed one was the main one that I worked on, like I was the one that made the model for it. And I tried to make it more dynamic and like more applications that we were using it for, make it easier to move around, do other things. So I'd say that one is the one that I'd be most proud of, especially since it was 3D printed, it was really cool. We had to like print it into separate sections and then like assemble it all together. So we'll be able to do unique in their own way and like skills and what I was doing a young age to.
Hey Josh, I might have walked in late. I don't know if you talked about this, but do you know like what you want to tap into after you graduate yet, or?
I mean, I think it would be really cool for me to do like pleasure craft, because like I've said, my family's always had a boat and I'm used to like inland lakes and I like that area. I think those boats are all cool, and especially like things they're doing with them nowadays. But honestly, I'm open to doing whatever. I think it's all interesting. Looking at anything people. Anybody else?
No, your ROV competitions, who paid for your travel to those awesome places?
We would have to raise that
You
money,
raised money
like
to do it
we
yourself?
done whatever would you write spend all the money on the ROV. He's part of that, but we do a lot of like rides and racers and stuff like that. Luckily it was like not always like too far, like I went to like Seattle or like sea or Florida. It was like it wasn't outrageously costly because there's only a few of us on the team as well.
Okay.
You say your high school had a special floor plan or something? No.
Well, no, it's a really dumb school because it was designed by a guy in California and it's in Michigan. So it was way too cold in the winter, and the fact that it was like 11 years old didn't help.
So in the picture, would you have to like walk between the outside buildings for fun?
No, in fact, well, this is kind of a really bad photo of it. It's just the nicest looking one I could find. This is like, that's like where the auditorium is on the left, and on the right is like the library, and then like it extends past that, and there's like little wings that you could theoretically walk between, and I did my freshman year, but then they started locking the doors and you couldn't go in the private hallways.
Yeah, you said it started when you since your 5th grade, right? So do you have coding classes and robotic classes since that age?
No, so I wouldn't really do the coding, and especially in the early years, it was a lot. It wasn't any coding at all. It was just switches and stuff. But eventually in high school, we had one person. She actually came here to Michigan. I think she did computer sciences. She would handle the majority of it and work with an engineer that would put it together, and that was like their main job. Where I was more focused on the hardware and stuff like that. So, and like it wasn't. I had some engineering classes, but that wasn't anything related to this in high school.
It was always in your school, right?
Yeah, it will like a side club that we had done. Like I did before high school. We had done it, so it wasn't like a high school club. It's kind of like we took it throughout, and then we eventually my like junior year of high school. It was a part of the high school, but we didn't get anything from it, but the high school name on it. So it's kind of the affiliation.
Was that one of your brothers that was in that picture with you with the
Yeah,
yeah,
that's he's not the oldest brother, but the
middle one? Did he study engineering or something like it?
yeah, he's still like up at Michigan Tech. He's thinking about doing like computer science stuff, but he kind of took a little bit and he's still figuring it out.
So he grew up north and went further north.
I don't know why.
I don't either.
A lot of snow up there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys.
I could go first.
It's gonna be so much fun.
Although some people love
My
it.
presentation.
Yes.
You do like, I think it's all the time. I'm actually.
Yeah.
Because he knows, I know.
I know.
Yeah.
I just some experience. You guys looked okay, like, most of you guys looked okay. Everyone from Smart.
Right, I'm Zach. I'm a senior here. I'm gonna follow up Josh's presentation with a shorter and maybe less interesting presentation about myself. I haven't done ROV since 5th grade.
Why not? You're right.
All right, so who am I? Like I said, I'm Zach. That top left picture is of my family. I have 3 sisters and I am a triplet. So the furthest left is my oldest sister and the other 2 that are about my age. You know, you can pick those out. Those are my triplet sisters.
No way.
And I also have a dog. Her name is Sadie. She's a black lab and she's 8 years old. And it's crazy. Where am I from? I am also from a small town of about 8,000 people. It's called Goodrich. I'm just in the middle of nowhere between Ann Arbor and Detroit. The most exciting thing to do there is drive to the nearest mire. That photo in the bottom right is a picture of my front yard from the summer. It usually doesn't look that nice. But I was up at 5 a.m. In high school and growing up, I played about every sport I could until I wasn't good enough at it to continue. So I got cut from the baseball team in 7th grade, stopped playing football in 3rd grade. The only 2 that really worked out for me were soccer and running. So I kept those up through high school and just kind of had fun with those. How did I end up at Michigan? Well, I always wanted to study engineering, just kind of talking to family members. Neither of my parents were engineers, but a lot of my aunts and uncles were, and it sounded really cool. I was actually a diehard MSU fan until I came here. So I didn't know anything about U of M. I actually was just, you know, the propaganda convinced me that this school sucked. I was really interested in aerospace engineering. I didn't really know that name was a thing. I visited Michigan 3 times throughout high school. I hated it every single time I came here. Couldn't really explain why. Then I met Warren on my 4th visit, got a tour of the NHL and the name department. That kind of changed my mind on things. That bottom left photo is a picture of me in Lexington. I probably saw Josh when I was there, but my family shares a place on the water up there. So I've always kind of been interested in ships, you know, passing by. Having fun on those. I just didn't realize there was like a whole field of engineering dedicated to it. So it was cool to learn that that was a real thing. I really wanted to go to Purdue actually and study aerospace engineering, but just wasn't really worth the cost to go there when we had a great program here as well and the option of name. And on my visit to Purdue, I drove through cornfields for 6 hours and got a little bored of that. So decided to go to Michigan. Good state, close to home. I declared name, I think as soon as we could, freshman year. Small department, I really like the vibes of it, really like the, you know, kind of different aspect of engineering it offers. Cooper Clark is not here today, but he was my freshman year roommate. I still live with him 4 years later. He took my idea and declared a week before me.
Oh.
I'll never forgive him for that. Yeah, that bottom left photo is a picture of Cooper from our freshman year in some disco shoes that he got for free. Somebody in our dorm. I haven't convinced him to wear them. What else do I do here at Michigan? I'm the vice president of MRun, the running club here. It's the largest club sport on campus that takes up a lot of my time. I do a lot of running. Don't really have too many other hobbies. I sleep, even when I'm not in class. That photo on the right is a picture of me asleep at one of the football games this year. We were winning by so much, I just got bored. I don't do much else between notes and running. Kind of my thing. Where have I interned? I've interned at Carter Rock twice in the Center for Innovation and Ship Design. One time virtually my sophomore year and in person over this last summer in Maryland. It's basically like taking 475 over and over again with lower expectations. That photo on the right is from Old Red Mountain that I climbed this summer in Virginia. The most exciting things to do in Maryland is leave. So. I don't know if anybody's from Maryland, I apologize. Sorry.
Fight.
And then, yeah, where am I going? Can't get rid of me yet. I'll be coming back for SUGS next year. I promised to fix my sleep schedule. This time's gonna be different than after the last 5 years. And then after all that, I'll be working for Carter Rock, the combatant craft division, the testing and evaluation division down in Norfolk. Just kind of testing boats. I don't really know what I'm doing there yet. I'll find out this summer when I intern there. That is a photo from one of the Iowa class battleships in Norfolk. I think it's the USS Wisconsin. I toured it last summer and got an engine room tour, and it's really cool. Definitely check it out if you're ever down there. It was 110 degrees in the engine. Anybody have any questions? Oh, that picture of the dog is from when Brian and I went to Baltimore this summer. I think Jackson was there too. And he served on a US Coast Guard ship with the crew in the 50s. Yeah, I look forward. Any questions? Raise your hand.
What event do you run for MRun?
For cross country, we do the 8K, and then for track, I do the steeplechase and the 5K.
Challenge him, Ally?
No, I don't think I could even make it over.
I did it my first time. I fell in. It was 30 degrees. Subprime.
If you had to like plot the history of your running speed, have you just always gotten faster, or did you kind of take a break for a bit that you said?
There's a certain person that was faster than you at one point.
Oh, yeah, we want to go back to that. So in middle school, I was the slowest person on my cross country team. In high school, I progressively got better. Where's the picture of Cooper? Yes, at the state meet in high school, Cooper Clark beat me.
Oh.
And there's a photo of him beating me at the finish line, and he brings it up every time I talk about running.
Did you room blind or did you know?
I'm in orientation.
Yeah,
You're gonna be in the same building. We figured that out, I think, a few months into freshman year.
Oh, wow, okay.
I tried to find the picture before this, but I made this presentation an hour ago.
In the engine room, I've been on that battleship, that's at the Nautilus Museum, right?
I think so, yeah. It was just,
They wouldn't let us off the top deck.
it was just an extra tour they offered that day for like $30. I don't know if they changed their mind or something in the last few years, but
Cause I asked a lot of people and they said, no. You can't come on there. I said, yeah, but there is a way, no.
it was way too much. It was like a 5-hour tour. It was kind of awesome, but very long. Yeah, Pete.
I was gonna say, if you guys have Strava, you should follow Zach, because it's kind of amazing. Like he'll run like 70 to 100 miles a week. It's crazy, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, I don't have any other hobbies. Sleep. That's why I'm always asleep. Yeah.
Can I ask triplet questions?
Sure.
So where are your sisters?
And which order are they? Are you youngest, oldest?
I'm the middle triplet. So the one in the yellow, my older sister Megan is a travel nurse. She went to Saginaw Valley for 4 years and now she's travel nursing out of Kalamazoo. The one to the right of her, Ashley, just graduated from nursing school from a Flint area school. She'll be working as a nurse in Royal Oak. And then my other sister, Rachel, in the middle of that picture, changed her major from nursing to education. So she's the only non-nurse in the family other than me. Or I guess my dad's not a nurse either, but of the 4 girls in my family, she's the only non-nurse. And she's got another 1.5 years at Saginaw Valley for elementary education.
Did they dress you alike when you were little? Where are those pictures?
We wanted those, yeah. we
Yeah.
wanted those pictures.
I got a new phone like a month ago. I don't have any of my old pictures.
Well, you can do another presentation.
Yeah, I'll prepare those for next time. Next year. Anything else?
I have one more question I want to ask both of you or whoever wants to respond. Both of you liked water, you liked ROVs, but neither of you knew about this department at the University of Michigan. And I'm sure a lot of. But how would you suggest, if you were a high school student, like, how do we let people know what we are? Who we are, anyone?
It's a really small field, so it's not just something you really think of in high school, especially if you're not like directly on the water. I actually found out about name from my aunt who went to Web.
Oh.
Actually was convinced to apply there first before finding out that Michigan had a program. She kind of neglected to tell me that.
Wow, so you were an MSU fan, you wanted to go to Purdue, you had an aunt at Webb, and here you are. All right, round of applause. That's a steal. Steal. Anybody else?